Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to season 2 of Conversations in Pop Culture, where I have with me professional wrestler Charlie Kruel, who has wrestled for Girl Fight, Grindhouse Pro Wrestling, Emerge Wrestling, and Asylum Wrestling Revolution, to name a few. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I am excited because I've been wanting to do this interview for about 6 months, and we finally got it to work. And I am super stoked because a lot of stuff has been going on with you in the last 4 years. And I think the best place to start is with Girl Fight in 2018 because that's kind of where your career sort of started. And I think the best person to talk about, for starters, is Randy West and you.
Yeah. When I first debuted for Girl Fight Wrestling, it was March of 2018. My first match was against Aleida Ortiz. I think my second was against Randy. Um, but after that, I just started becoming a huge, me and Pondo, Madman Pondo, we started being really close friends. Um, and yeah, I still wrestle for Girl Fight today. I think our next show is June. We have since everything's shut down, they're moving it to June, so we have to wait till the summer, but it'll be fine. It's in West Virginia, so really excited about that. Don't know what's going to happen, but I think a lot of my career has started with Girl Fight Wrestling and Pondo. I've wrestled a lot of girls for Girl Fight Wrestling. Melanie Cruz, I've wrestled Mickey Knuckles. I wrestled plenty of girls. Selena Dean recently. So it's been really fun.
And there's a bunch of people you wrestled in Girl Fight, and I think Melanie Cruz we mentioned, and obviously Melanie Cruz is in AEW now. Obviously, we talked about Randy West. Amazing Maria is another one, and then also Jocelyn Navarro is another big one that you've wrestled.
Jocelyn Navarro.
Yeah, so obviously Girl Fight was that start of your career, and I think it really pushed forth a lot of stuff, especially early on. So what was it like wrestling these women so early on?
I've wrestled Jocelyn and Maria before, but I don't think I've ever wrestled them for Girl Fight. When I wrestled Melanie, I was still really new. I was only a few months in. She's new. She's known this. So I think it was my first time meeting her too, if I can't remember correctly, or if I can remember correctly. I don't remember. I think I have the DVD for it, but I can't remember much of the match. I just remember the finish with her big boot coming at me. That was the finish. I remember I tried to take down the legs because she's so much bigger than me. It was a blast. I can't remember that. I hope me and Melanie can have a rematch sometime because I've learned and I've grown a lot more since then. So.
And to even talk about that, because obviously you were coming in very, very new, and Melanie was around a little bit longer than you. And so what was that like, being in the ring with a veteran, being new, and sort of having, I guess, that idea of somebody's experience rubbing off on you and mentoring you and sort of helping to navigate the match a little bit as well? Because it is tricky when you're brand new into wrestling.
Yeah, it's always great to go in the ring with somebody who's more experienced, been in longer for me, knows more than I do. And so their knowledge can, rub off onto me. And anything I do in the ring, I learned from them from start to finish. Melanie, it was really fun to work with her. I wish I remembered more of it, but it was like 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago. So, it was like 2.5 years ago, almost 3 maybe. But I've wrestled many girls that are more experienced than I am, and I like that. I like to wrestle girls more experienced than me because it's fun to take their knowledge and what they have learned through their years of being in the business, and me being so new. I can learn from them, and we any girl that we get in the ring, no matter how long they've been in or not, we all learn from each other. So it's a really good experience.
And speaking about other people you wrestled, and I think one of the things that sort of put you on the map a little bit early on was your rivalry with Haley Shadows. And to
Oh
just
yeah.
give this idea here, it was around, I think the two of you wrestled in a few non-title matches. Then the Emerge Women's title match happened. And then you just wrestled each other all throughout Girl Fight and a variety of other promotions that ultimately led up to, I think, 2019 at Emerge 40 again for the title. And it was this like 8 or 9 matches with each other, all leading up to this entire thing that sort of came full circle. So, what was that like getting to wrestle her? Because obviously, the two of you got to know each other extremely well during this entire process. And also, you were growing at the same time. And it
Mhm.
gets complicated when you start knowing your opponent really, really well.
Yeah. Yeah, so me and Haley were originally in a faction together. Before I even had my first match, we were in this huge faction together. I looked at her as a more experienced one, so my first time I think I've ever debuted even as Charlie Kruel was before I even started training. She asked me if I could manage her to the ring that night. She wrestled Randy West for All Star Pro Wrestling in Shelbyville, Indiana. And I was very hesitant, but I was like so for it. I was like, yeah, I want to get this experience, see what it's all about. So that happened, and so on and so forth. And we started the faction we were in broke up. We all moved on. Um, and I think me and Haley started our battles and emerge because every single time we'd wrestle for the women's title, she would find ways to cheat to win. And like I get it, like you're going to do whatever you can to win. It's a title. You want to be at top of the business, or I'm sorry, the top of like the promotion, and you want to be the champion, the top of the women's division. They're at Emerge. I get it, but if you're going to be a champion, you want to represent, you got to find other ways than to just cheat, because cheating is only going to take you so far, Now we've had our matches at a girl fight. We had a match, at girl fight. We had a match at EWE before. Most of our matches have happened at Emerge. I think she's a good competitor. We've never seen eye to eye. She's so much different than I am. Emerge is where we really butt heads because, she knows how much that women's title at Emerge means to me. As a performer, as a person, as a women wrestler in this business, the Emerge women's title emerges like a home to me, and everything I wanted right now so far has been to win the Emerge women's title. Of course, Corona has happened. Things have been taken off. They were going to have shows happen, and they had to cancel because of COVID. Back last year, when they had the ladies first tournament, they had I ended up not going to the finals for the Emerge Women's tournament, but heads up, my phone is at 20%. I wanted to charge it, but I was not able to. Would this be able to work without the headphones, or does it need the headphones?
Oh, you can take the headphones off. We don't need the headphones.
Okay. I don't need to right now. It was just if my phone goes down to a certain percentage, I'll take this out and put it on the charger
It's all
and
good.
still
It's all
talk to
good.
you. Continuing that though, Emerge is a helm to me. Even though Emerge women's title was not the biggest title in the business, it means the world to me to be able to win that title, to be looked at as the Emerge women's champion. Emerge Wrestling has taken me in from being this newbie nobody to who I am today, and they never gave up on me. They always have given me opportunities. I battled Rachel Raylin, Raylin. Battled her. I've had my feud with Dave Davidson. Ended up winning him. I think the only person I think has ever actually beat me at Emerge has been Haley. And that is only because she has found ways to cheat. She found a way to cheat to win the title. She found a way to cheat to retain the title. She is going to cheat because that's the only thing she knows how to do. That's the only thing she can grab out of her bag, and that's not what I want to do. So I don't know what's happening right now. I know the winner of the ladies first tournament is still Kinsey Page. I love her to death. She has first dibs at at the Emerge Women's title against Haley. But I told her, I said, no matter if you win, no matter if Haley wins, I'm coming after that title because I fought too hard to be letting myself down like this. I'm not going to give up. I was close to winning the ladies' first tournament. Dave Davidson decided he wanted to pop up on a screen and distract me. Kinsey got the win. I give her props on that. She found an opening. She went for it. That's just being an athlete. That's just being a performer that we are. We find the openings and we take it. We take the opportunities, and that's what she did. So I respect her for that. At the Merge Women's, tournament, I wrestled first round Shauna Reed. Second round, I wrestled Selena Dean. Final was me and Kinsey. I know Emerge is talking about coming back eventually. We just haven't found a way to do so with Corona happening, but they definitely said they're going to be bringing me back, of course. So we're just going to see what happens, because the next time me and Haley are in the ring, or even if Kinsey finds a way to beat Haley and wins the title, no matter what, I'm coming after that title. I'm going to be the next Emerge Women's Champion. I want to be the longest reigning Emerge Women's Champion. I want to be that star of that company. So, yeah.
So this is a lot of stuff to break down, because obviously there's a lot of history between you and Haley. And I think even if she's not holding the title, there's something that has to be settled between the two of you. Because obviously this feud has been going on for way too long.
3 years.
I think that there's a lot of things that have to be settled, and I think it's going to be an amazing point where some people have great rivalries, and this is the beginning of it. And I think the two of you have at least another match, if not another 5 or 6 matches, going after each other hard. And so I'm very excited to see those come out. And then even going further, because obviously jumping to 2020, and we're going to get into some other things in Girlfriend as well. But obviously you just spoke about the ladies' first tournament. What was that like to be part of that in 2020? Because it's kind of one of the last big things that I think you've done, given with COVID out there and all that stuff. And obviously anytime you're invited into a tournament is cool, and it's a nice, verification. But even to be invited into something, a company that sort of took you in and developed you in many ways, and then to make it to the finals as well and go through Shauna Reed and Selena Dean and also face Kinsey Page. And Kinsey Page is a very good competitor. So what was that entire experience like for you as well?
And the ladies' first tournament, I think, was very emotional for me. As you can see, if you saw I ended up crying on the mic and stuff. It was very emotional for me because I've been part of Emerge for going on 3 years now in March. No, never mind. It will be 3 years in May. So I've been in part of Emerge for a while now. And I've been one of the only women that would constantly, be there, whether it was wrestling guys or it was a wrestling woman, whichever one, I was always there. So it was really emotional for me to be able to see Emerge grow and take their women's division, their women's title very seriously by having the ladies' first tournament. I was super excited. I said, whether I won or lost, it means a lot to me to even be part of that tournament. All of the women that were on the show, we all killed it. We all made a statement. We all showed that women can hang with men, and we can do what they can do. We can go 3 rounds and not miss a beat. It was a very emotional. It was a very good night. We all had really good matches. The fans were fire for all of it. I was nervous about how the crowd was going to react with a bunch of women wrestling, because Emerge has never done this before. So when you do something new with a company, you are worried about, how people are going to react. And I was very impressed and happy with how the crowd reacted for the women. They were definitely hot from start to finish. That's just how the Emerge crowd is. And I think that's another reason why I got so close to Emerge and wanted to look at them as like another family because the Emerge fans are one of a kind. I've never experienced fans like them before. They love me. I love them. They support me. They supported me from day one. They keep me up. So it was just awesome to see them support the women and support something that meant a lot to me and to all the other women that were part of the show. So
To even talk about that, because I was a big fan of primetime wrestling, and I know some people view it as a dirty word. I thought the crowd in primetime was one of the best crowds I've ever been to in indie shows. I've been to shows where the crowd is just dead. And I can imagine as a wrestler, it's very painful and it's very difficult, I would imagine, to manage all that and figure things out and even work with it. And we saw that a little bit with COVID with crowdless shows. And so when the crowd is obviously with you and supporting you and they're very excited about this show, I mean, what does that mean for you as a wrestler and as a person and really, saying, oh, I'm on the right path of what I'm doing?
I've definitely had my fair share of shows that the crowd wasn't really into it, and it does suck, but our job as a performer is to try. Sorry, I got distracted for a second. I have ADHD.
We all do. It's all right. No worries.
Is to try to get this dead crowd alive and well. Whether you are being the bad guy or if you're being a good guy, if you're just being yourself, a ring announcer, you're the referee, whatever, do what you got to do to get this crowd alive. That's their choice. If they want to be dead, they want to be dead, but you got to do what you got to do you got to take what you are given and make the best out of it. Whether the crowd is up and it's fire and it's alive, or you just got crickets, you got to take and you got to make the best out of it. I've wrestled in front of 10 people. I've wrestled in front of 100 plus, 200 plus people. And sometimes the smallest crowds are louder than the bigger crowds. It depends on who you're going to be having in the building that night, for fans at least. And like I said, you got to make the best out of every situation. And, last time I think I wrestled in front of 10 people and they were making noise. So you just got to make the best out of it.
And obviously, there's more to come because this is far from over with Emerge. Obviously, COVID has messed up a lot of stuff. I think that's, an understatement to say the least. But going backwards, because I do want to talk about Girl Fight, because Girl Fight has treated you also very well in many ways. And I do want to talk about Chloe, because you and Chloe got some issues also. Some street fight, stuff happening.
I mean, we've only wrestled twice. It was the street fight for Girl Fight,
the mini
right?
program. Let's put it that way. It's a nice little mini program. You had 2 street fights, and things sort of were interesting because it's even between the 2 of you.
Yeah. That was a while ago. That was like maybe 2 years ago. No, yeah, it was about 2 years ago. Me and Chloe went back and forth just twice. I beat her the first time. She beat me the second, so we are even. It's fun to have a street fight with Chloe. Whatever.
Because what was that like, having a street fight? Because I think this is your first foray into that territory, and it's interesting when people have their first street fight or their first ladder match and going into that, because it is different and it does expand what you can do in a ring, but it also takes away from the actual technical elements of it, because when you're using a chair, it's different than when you're suplexing somebody, for lack of a better word, or you're grappling, or you can't get disqualified in a street fight. So everything is sort of fair game. So what was that like for you? Because it does open it up tremendously.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I think it was my first street fight. It was fun. It was different, but it was fun. It was easy. When you have a street fight in a match that's like no disqualification, anything goes. You can use, like, I remember I had another street fight with like Sabrina Hex or something at Girl Fight. I went backstage, grabbed a water bottle, the first water bottle that I found, Wasn't used, by the way. Um, took it, drank it, spit in her face. This was before Corona, by the way. Spit in her face and punched her with it. You know, you just use the littlest things you can find, and like I said before about the crowd and stuff, you make the best out of every situation. And I definitely made the best out of those situations. Yeah, Chloe beat me once. I beat her once. Fair game. I don't think it would ever happen again, but if it did, I'm different now. I'm more aggressive than I ever been before, so she would have to definitely be on the lookout because it's not gonna. It's not gonna be a fair share anymore. um, but yeah, I mean, street fights are fun. I've had so many. I love street fights. You know, I've had a death match before. Um, you just got to make the best out of the situations that you are given. I remember taking I'm so glad that I was wearing red gear because if my gear was not red, I probably would have been mad. But since my gear was red during my street fight with Chloe, she took ketchup and she squirted on me. A lot of women would not have appreciated that. They would be super mad about it. But since my gear was red and was easy washable, because it just blended into my gear, it wasn't an issue. But if my gear color was like blue or white, especially, whatever, then I would have been like, hey dude, like I didn't agree to that was wrong, you're gonna pay for new gear. But besides that, that's just an example. She found a ketchup bottle, squirted on me. I found a trash can lid, hit her over the head with it. It's just, it's whatever, you got to make the best situations. I think my best street fight I've ever had was with Mickey Knuckles at AWR for the women's title when I first won it. That was one of my favorite matches, I think, of 2020. It was huge. So it's fun. It's a good time.
And we're going to talk about that in a second, but I do want to say the girl fight because I think one of the best things that happened to you, and I have some personal insight into this, is that tag team first round with Akira and you teamed up and faced Kimberly and Zachary Wentz. Obviously, Kimberly is in Impact. Kimberly is coming out of Chikara in many ways. Again, I know it's a dirty word for some people. And obviously, Zachary Wentz, WWE, if I already didn't mention that. So what was that first round like for you? Because obviously you and Akira came out on top at the time. I think you still are a couple. I don't think that's a secret. And obviously you were starting to get a lot of traction, and I feel like you were starting to get rewarded for all the work you were putting in, and especially knocking off Kimberly and Zachary Wentz, who are well known. Especially Kimberly at that time, I think, was more well known than Zachary Wentz. And more people know who Kimberly was at that time. So what was that entire match like in girl fight?
I think, Zachary is in NXT right now. Kimber is also
against him. Nothing against him. I want to make that clear. I'm just stating how I view everything. But obviously, Zachary, yes, he's in NXT. Continue. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm just plugging my phone. It's at 10%. So it was fun. I learned a lot from the both of them. They're both, different. It was weird because they're a couple. Akira are a couple, so it was like a couple versus couple kind of thing. But I wish I could have done it again. I think it would have been better if me and him, because I'm not at that time. I was not experienced with tag team matches. It was very different from normal matches that I'm used to. I really, really want a single one-on-one match with Kimberly. If Zachary wasn't in NXT, I would like a one-on-one match with him. Of course, he is in NXT, so that would be kind of hard to get. But unless they go to NXT and they end up doing intergender stuff or whatever. But I don't know about that. I can't tell the future on that. But it was fun. It was very shocking for a lot of people to see me and Akira knock off Kimberly and Zachary Wentz in that first round. It was an important match to me, and it was an important match to him, for us to both learn from, Kimber and from Zachary. Yeah, but it was fun. I can't remember who was the second. Oh yeah, it was Alley Cat and Sean Kemp the second round. Last round was Billy and I'm not mentioning the other guy's name, but you know
Fair
what I'm
enough.
talking
Fair
about.
enough. So let's talk about, obviously, love Alley Cat. I love Alley Cat. And so what was that even like coming off of this big hot round? Because I think it's safe to say that that first round was the biggest shocker out of the tournament. I think it is a fair statement. And so what was that like going into facing Alley Cat and Sean Kemp and having that second round, winning that, and then winning the entire tournament? Because this was sort of the moment where I don't think that you were the people to bet on and you win it, big opportunity, kind of your moment to shine. I mean, Akira said it was kind of you guys saying "fuck you" to everybody, and I quote him on this show. And so obviously, because that's something that he said, and I don't know if you feel similar, but in looking at it and even looking at your career, this was saying, "Hey, we're here to stay, and we're that damn good." Type of match. I feel like that's what this was, and it's very cool because I think it was that moment where things started to shift for you in many ways.
Yeah, we got a lot of people butthurt because of that victory that we had. A lot of people were mad because they think I didn't do as much to win. It was more of Akira, but like I said before, I wasn't used to tag matches. He was. He's been put in a lot of tag matches. Myself, I have not. Um, I was also one of the biggest heels in Girl Fight at the time, so I'm gonna do what I have to do to win. If it means throwing him to the sharks and letting me come up from behind and do whatever, I'm gonna do it. You know, I don't care who was mad about it. It was a point proven. Um, you know, it was different, definitely different. We proved a point. We showed everybody that, we're not to be slept on at all. Because a lot of times in Girl Fight, I was always put to the as not the one you would want to bet on, basically. And so this was definitely a huge fuck you to everybody. A lot of people didn't believe in me. A lot of people didn't believe in him. And this was just a huge middle finger to every single one of those people. I believe I've even flipped off people in the audience when we won because, it's just a huge fuck you to you guys. You don't think that we're going to win? Well, here you are. We won the entire freaking thing. We beat some of your favorites. We beat people that you didn't even think that we would ever be able to beat, but we did. And that's exactly how that ended up happening. So,
And so I don't like to drop FUs and fuck yous and middle fingers for no good reason. I don't think that accomplishes anything. But every once in a while, you got to make some noise and you got to do it appropriately to prove the point that remind people that you're still there and you're still here. And that's what this seems like in many ways is that it was not dropping a fuck you for the sake of just doing it. It was to prove the point and create some noise. So I think it did create a lot of noise for the both of you in many ways. And I think it was super important in that point. And so I think that's something that should be noted for other wrestlers and other people in general listening is that you shouldn't just do this for no good reason.
right. I don't really cuss or flip people off, but I think that night I came in with a chip on my shoulder. I had something to prove. We ended up winning the whole damn thing, and I just wanted to show you guys, like, hey, fuck you. I'm here. You don't like me, I don't fucking like you. So it was just a point proven, and we showed that we can do it, that we can hang with some of the best, and we shut everybody up after that. So
And even going further, because I think a little bit before and a little bit after, you also were teaming with Akira a lot, and you've done a bunch of matches and in Wild Championship, Wrestling Outlaws, and a variety of other promotions. So, what was it like teaming up with your boyfriend? Because there are wrestling couples out there, and there's people who have spouses that are not wrestlers, and it is cool when you get to wrestle with your spouse, your partner, and wrestle as a team and even sometimes wrestle against them as well, because it is kind of a cool thing that happens. And not every wrestler and wrestling couple gets that. And it is a very unique bonding experience, I would imagine. So, what was that like for you getting that opportunity to do it? And obviously, getting this tournament win too and etched into the books and really getting that moment to share together.
Well, besides the tournament, the only other time we've tagged was literally 2 other times, and that was at that one place in Indy, that one show in Indianapolis. And I think after every single match, whether we won or lost, I like kicked him in the nuts. And I think the second time he caught my leg and spun me around and gave me a German. So we've never really. Uh, and then this round, I was basically bullying him to be mean the entire time because I was mean myself at the time. So
It was not a fun, unique bonding experience.
yeah, we're different. We're 2 different people.
I guess it's not your typical couples, position.
It definitely isn't.
And I walked into that because I knew the answer to it before I even asked. This is, even going further off of Akira and talking about some other stuff, because obviously you faced Billy in the finals of this tournament, and then you and Billy have worked together and faced each other in a variety of matches in Grindhouse. You also faced people like Alice Crowley and Hazel and a few other people. Amazing Maria, too, is another one. And obviously, this is a group of women. So let's start with Billy. What is it like working with Billy Starks? Because I love Billy Starks in so many different ways, and I think she is amazing. Everything she's done, and you and her have teamed up. You faced each other. You've been on opposing sides, the same sides. You've been in a variety of different types of matches. And so, what is that like for you working with her?
I was her first feud, I think, ever at Grindhouse. We, I think, literally wrestled for a year with each other. We learned with each other. We've trained with each other. We still train with each other. Tomorrow is a match between the 2 of us. We're wrestling tomorrow again at the arena where we started everything. So it's kind of, a huge deal. I love Billy. I love wrestling her. We tag teamed at Paradigm. It hasn't been released yet, but we tagged again with Mickey in a 6-person tag. I'm sorry. It's great to wrestle Billy. It's great to work with Billy, train with Billy. She's a really good person, I think. So she really cares about this business. She cares about helping others. I really appreciate that.
To even go further off of that, because obviously you're teaming up with her and you're going against her, you're training with her. What is it like to put a match with her and face her? Because now you know your opponent extremely well, and obviously since you've done a bunch of matches, you now have to sort of try new things to outwit and outsmart your opponent, and that forces you to evolve in a much quicker position. Because obviously you want to win and you got to keep the crowd entertained, and obviously your opponent knows you and you know your opponent, and therefore you have to find to do something new in the ring that they're not going to expect. So what is that like for you when you know your opponent, and Billy in this case, extremely well?
I think that's the fun part about wrestling somebody you know very well, because I do know all of her stuff. She knows all of my stuff. It's been a while since we've actually wrestled each other, so let's see what we can bring out of our bags. I've been watching her stuff. She's been watching mine. I think that's the best part about, like I said, wrestling somebody that you know so well, is that you don't know what you're going to do. So you have to do things differently. You have to surprise them and just come out of nowhere and do something you've never done before, because they know your shit. So she knows my stuff and I know her stuff. So it's just, it's the surprise factor of it all. It's what's going to happen. What are they going to do next? Every single match is entertaining and interesting because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what I'm going to pull out of my bag. You don't know what she's going to pull out of her bag. So it's just like it's a new match every single time.
And obviously, I think you and Billy are going to go a few more rounds because it's just the way it's going to go. And I think Billy is, and also just talk with Billy Starks. Billy has evolved so massively, much like you have in the last 4 years, where it's just insane how far people come. And I think that's credit to you as well in that regard. And then also, I want to talk about Amazing Maria, because she's going to be on Sunday, and you've had a few matches with her. And I think you've had 2 championship matches sort of involving her in many ways. So what is it like facing her? Because she's a little bit older, I think, than you and Billy, and she's been around a little bit longer. And so what is that like to have her as more of the veteran in the wrestling industry? And you're sort of still newer in many ways.
We had my first singles debut match was actually against her. Lost my Grindhouse women's title to her. She's a great competitor. She was good to learn from. Really good to put in the ring with really green kids that don't know shit like myself. Cause she'll definitely help you around with that. She'll give you good advice. She's a very motherly figure to myself and Billy for many years and many years to come, I'm sure. You know, she has a daughter right now that's in wrestling. She's doing very well. She's an all-around great person, great wrestler. Definitely has been around places. But yeah, she's doing very well, and I would like to have another match with her sometime too.
And I also think one of the things that highlighted this match is those championship matches. Even though you lost it, you dropped the title to her, and then you were also involved in Heroes and Legends and their title, and that was a crazy 6-person match. I mean, that was just a crazy match to put it nicely. You know, what is it like to even be in those types of matches? Because I think they do mean something. You know, titles in wrestling. Some people say, "Oh, they don't mean anything." I tend to think they do because they do highlight the match. They make it more important. They give it something meaningful, and it is super important to have these title matches. You know, a belt actually means something. It looks a certain way, and it means something. So how did you feel about all those matches and really it being elevated because it gets eyes on the match?
Yeah, titles, a lot of people say, oh, titles are just a prop, blah, 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 but they mean something. You don't just win them to win them. If a company, promoter, whoever is going to give you the chance to represent their division, their company with their title and trust you, it's a really good feeling. It's like AWR, trust me, being their women's champion and being the leader of their women's division they have, being one of the top competitors, not just women competitors, but literally one of the top competitors of their company. Um, I I remember being super super excited for Wrestling for Heroes and Legends for that match, whether I won the title or not. It was just super fun for me to be part of. I've never been in a super crazy match like that. I think it was very good. I loved it. I can't remember. I haven't seen the match in a while. I don't know if it was uploaded or not. But I think I really liked being part of Heroes and Legends because I was a fan in the audience once at Heroes and Legends. 2017, 2016, something like that. And so seeing that and evolving and being able to be part of there and having the promoter trust me to be part of that match and want me to help grow, it was a really good feeling. And so
You know, it was a crazy match, and even talking about that as well as that, because obviously you said it's crazy. I think it was a wild, crazy match as well, and those matches in 6 ways do give massive opportunity if they're done the right way, where everybody can shine. You know, I'm a big freelance fan, and they are infamous, and they're not infamous. They're famous actually for their 6 scrambles, and most of their shows start off that way. And the way that those matches are shown is that everybody in the match gets a spot. And I felt that this match, everybody had a spot in it, and everybody had their moment, and everybody had an opportunity. And I thought it was a really well done match for everybody. I felt like nobody was buried in that match. Despite obviously there has to be one winner, but I felt nobody was buried. And I think that those matches done right should that's how a match should be done right.
hmm
And then I want to talk about Mickey Knuckles too, because Mickey Knuckles is a special type of wrestler in many ways, and you've had a bunch of matches with her,
hmm
with and against her. So, what was that like? Because Mickey Knuckles is a beast. To put it politely, in everything Mickey Knuckles does, she is a beast. And so, what was all your matches like? Obviously, title matches and a variety of other matches. So clearly, there's a lot of stuff there to talk about.
Mickey's like my mom in wrestling. She's trained me a little bit. She put me under her wing. I'm sorry, her ring. Uh, she's a very caring person. She's very underrated in the business. I don't care what people have to say. She's a badass. She can still go in the ring. Like I said, one of my favorite matches in 2020 was actually against her at AWR, and that's just how that went. She is super supportive of me. She's really has helped push me to become a better wrestler, to actually elevate myself. She has helped me in so many different ways. We have wrestled. My first time wrestling her was supposed to be a singles match, but it turned into a triple threat, adding Sadie Vanderkamp to it. And I ended up pinning her going over, and that like shocked so many people because I was like not even a year in, and I got a win over her on that, and it was a huge. I think that was a huge moment for me, starting out in the business.
So to even talk about that, because obviously, wrestling there's two types of wrestlers. There's people who know how to give back to the business, and there are people who don't know how to do that at all. And there are people who know how to say, hey, this young wrestler needs a W, or they need to go over, they need to win, or I'm not going to allow them to do that. And so, very much, this gave you a boost in your career, started to get the ball rolling, giving you momentum, it seems. And what was that like for you that, she probably knew that it was going to put you over, that it was going to be a shocking victory, that it was actually going to mean something, and it was going to start changing the trajectory, whether you realized it at the time or not, it probably had some influence on sort of turning you around a corner and getting more eyes on you. Because it is a shocking thing. It is a talk about thing that you would talk about after the match, and people in the audience say, "Oh, I didn't see that one coming."
Mickey is one of those people that if you deserve it and it will help you a lot, she will put you over. She will help elevate you. Like I said, she's helped elevate me so many times. She put me over at the AWR show. I'm sure it was probably her idea to, it's a huge, like, I'm trying to find the words, sometimes it's just hard to talk about some things. But Mickey's one of those people that she will help grow, and she will help grow you, and she will help support you in any way possible. She's just that kind of caring person. So yeah, it means something for people like that to be like, hey, I want this person to win because they deserve it. They've been working hard, you know.
And even to talk about that AWR show, I mean, obviously this was way more recent. This was 2020. So for her to put you over again, and also, I don't know exactly when the AWR show was in 2020, but obviously 2020 has been a nightmare of a year.
Yeah.
And 2021 isn't looking much better. And I hate to be negative and pessimistic about it, but I view it, and somebody said it to me very well. Okay, Edward said that, when all this stuff ends, 2020 is the reset in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so to put you over in a reset year is how I view it. And not just for wrestling, but for a lot of different things like comics and entertainment in many ways as well. What was that like for you, for somebody to say, hey, this is a bad year and that everybody needs to be put over? I'm going to still put you over before me because you deserve it.
Yeah, 2020 was a hell of a year. It was kind of a nightmare. It was a nightmare that just happened out of nowhere, basically. Nobody really see it coming. When it first came out, nobody believed it. Everybody thought it was just a hoax, whatever. Came to be not a hoax, can be a very, very serious thing. And it was just it just meant a lot, just to be able to wrestle Mickey is an opportunity that I wouldn't take lightly. It's the opportunity you take and you just gotta make the best of it. I've been saying that a lot through this interview, but it's just you got to make the best out of situations. And Mickey saw me and wants to help grow me and help support me and develop me. That's what a lot of people have not done for me in this business. I'm sorry to say it. I'm sorry to be that person, but there's a lot of people that has not even want to look in my direction, that doesn't care where I'm going to go. And Mickey's one of those people that cares where I'm going to go. My first year in wrestling was a total nightmare. Yeah, it was a huge learning experience. I've learned from it. I'm growing from it. But at the same time, I was very brainwashed and manipulated by a guy who's no longer in the business. He was one of the first people to be canceled in the cancel culture that happened last year during the COVID.
I think everybody knows who it is, so we don't need to give somebody, a path to redemption, for lack of a better word. I don't really think we need to go down that path of giving this person any credibility whatsoever.
Right. That's why I haven't mentioned them at all. I just wanted to say that it was just a train wreck of a start for me, because I was very manipulated and brainwashed by that person. And Mickey has helped me find a way to pull myself out of those situations. She's always cared about me from day one, and she's never taken opinions that people have said about me. She's made her own opinions, and she's always liked me, and I've always liked her. And she's just a great role model, a great all-around person, very caring, loving, supporting, an amazing wrestler, super talented, should be booked everywhere. She's just an all-around great person.
So to even talk about this, because I think this is super important, where it is this idea that you need to find mentors and that you need to sort of vet people in wrestling a little bit. I think is super important, especially when you first enter the business. I mean, there are horror stories dating back to 20 years ago where people would take your money and then stretch it out and not train you and not, do certain things. And then they would sort of rob their students blind. And we even go back to, Mae Young and the Fabulous Moolah. And no disrespect to either of them, but there are horror stories dating back to them. And so obviously, I think with wrestlers, I think young wrestlers or anybody getting into the business, you have to, know who to vet, know who to trust, actually vet the schools, vet the people that you're training with, vet your fellow students to some degree. And when things start going bad, I've had an interview with Billy Dixon. Billy Dixon was in a very rough, position when he was training and in a very abusive school. And when he got out of there and he went to a better school, things got better. And so I think it's super important in that regard that young wrestlers need to know that, you if you're in a bad situation, the best thing to do for you is to leave. There's always another wrestling school out there. It might be 50 miles away, but there's always another wrestling school out there.
Yeah, I remember before I went to Grindhouse, there was a show, a training school or whatever you want to call that, that wanted $500 for me to try out. Yeah, $500 for me to try out, and then an extra $1,000 to actually start training. I did not go to that at all, so I'm just saying that was insane. I don't think somebody needs to spend that much to train, but it happened. So I ended up going to Grindhouse. It was like $20 a week, not even a big deal. Trained with them, from the start of my career. I still train there actually. So
There's an old saying when somebody says, "I'm not going to work for free," to you on a particular say, "Hey, I'd like to interview you." It's always a red flag. So there are several red flags in life that cross that position. And I think that's one of the red flags that happens out there. And so I just think that it's super important. I think obviously I do want to give props to Grindhouse, because Grindhouse is a very well run training school. They're a very well run promotion, and I think that there's been a lot of good students that have come out of that. A lot of amazing people have come out of it as well.
yeah, They're definitely I think it's a good training school for people to go to. They've had different trainers here and there, but it's a really good training school to go to.
And so, obviously, getting back into some wrestling, because there's some fun stuff to talk about, and that you've been involved in a few fun matches. And the first one I want to talk about, and it's slightly out of order, is that you were involved in a casket match against Mother Endless.
Yes, I was.
So, what was that like? Because I don't remember a casket match on the Indies. It's been a long time since I've heard of a casket match on the Indies.
I was super stoked for it, besides the fact that I did receive a major concussion, was flown to the hospital. I don't remember much of the match. I'm going to be honest. I don't remember, honestly, anything of the match.
That happens. That happens when you get concussions. I've had a few. I know all about it. I don't remember who I was for a few hours / days. So I completely understand.
Yeah, it was I remember me and her just being the crap out of each other, and I took a move wrong or something happened and I blacked out. Sorry, I blacked out. I seen clips of the match. You could definitely tell something was wrong when it happened. I came up and I
So
was just like,
let's talk about this because this is super interesting. So obviously, and I was at a seminar with Bryce Remmenberg, and he wasn't CPR certified. But the first 16 years, he was talking about with safety, and things go wrong in wrestling matches. They just do. It's inevitable. And so, what was that entire situation? Obviously, looking back, or even now thinking back and reflecting backwards on it, that obviously something was wrong. You're beating the crap out of each other. Then you get a concussion. And then obviously the end result is that you got airflown to a hospital. And what is all that in your head going through? Because obviously, I would imagine you have mixed feelings in many ways. And that you're like, what did I just do? And how did this happen? And, even moving forward, like, how do you protect yourself? And how do you make sure that you're never in a situation like that again, or you're minimizing those situations?
oh yeah, me and her, we talked about it. It wasn't any. I mean, it happens. Like it's wrestling. It happens. I'm not heated about it. It happens.
Yeah, and not even against her. I'm just wondering, even for your safety moving forward, like what precautions do you take, and even just what was it like in the ring? And was like the referee figured it out and said, "Oh man, we got to end this quicker now," stuff like that, because that helps.
I don't know exactly. I don't think the ref knew. I think when she did it, I was supposed to do something after that move happened, and when I didn't, and I just kind of laid there, she kind of put two and two together. Put me to the casket, closed it, what it was supposed to be, basically. And I don't think anybody knew anything until they got to the back and opened the casket. Because they saw me take the move wrong. They saw me unconscious. I'm sorry, unresponsive. So obviously, they knew something was wrong. So when they opened it, they said, "Charlie, are you okay? Are you okay?" Just trying to talk to me, trying to get something out of me. I was out of it. It was funny because when I saw they have the highlights of me and Mother Endless's match on YouTube, and in the recommendations right under it's top 10 most unresponsive wrestlers that have been in matches or whatever, and I'm like, okay.
This is not the list you want to be on.
No, no, that's not what I want under my videos recommendations of unconscious wrestlers. But yeah, it happened and it was a learning experience. It was definitely a different experience for me. I'm going back to Jersey, I think June or July. I think June. I think I'm going back in June. It's gonna be amazing. I'm so excited. I love Jersey. Jersey is one of my favorite places I've ever been to. So yeah.
And we're going to talk about Jersey in a second here, but I do want to talk about another match that was a death match against Aiden Blackheart. And so, what was that like for you? Because obviously, you have some death match stuff in your life. Maybe vicariously, I'll put it that way. But obviously, what was it like stepping into this death match? Because death matches are fun, but they're also crazy.
A lot can go wrong in a death match.
Gary, you
not
know
sure.
firsthand. But for those who don't know, Akira is a great example during that Matt Tremont match.
Yeah.
That light tube stabbing into his stomach, that's what could go wrong.
Yeah. I remember I got my lip busted open by Aiden because he accidentally clotheslined me in my mouth. So, full impact, busted my lip open.
Wasn't a warhorse bust up though, right?
I'm sorry?
It wasn't a warhorse bust up.
No. It wasn't like, it was just inside. Like right around this area, I think. I think I still have something like right there. It's just a bust up lip, blood going down like a waterfall of blood like coming down my mouth, and my mom was there. I didn't tell her I was gonna be in a death match that night. Oh my god. She left after my thing was done. I think she like put herself in the hospital or something because she had a panic attack because of it. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. She's fine, by the way. She's fine. But did not like to see any of that stuff happen to her daughter. The gusset in my head was a weird experience. It didn't actually, I think because my adrenaline was like so up that when things like that in a death match happen, you don't really recognize it or feel it until after the match. And that's when like you actually start feeling the impact. And inside the adrenaline's going, gusted in my head. I was walking around with it, and I sat right next to my mom and pulled it out of my skull. And whatever, but it was fun. It was a fun time, good experience. Aiden definitely took care of me. The whole part with my lip that just happened, sometimes size differences, it can get fucked up, but it would end up being a really good time. Got cheered. It was a good experience. I think people saw that and was like, wow, Charlie can actually take an ass kicking and win. So it was fun. I liked it.
And obviously, I think it's safe to say that 2020 is the year of deathmatch wrestling. I felt personally that it was a revival of it. I was not a fan of deathmatch wrestling until 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And I think ICW really helped to change that up tremendously. And I think that they were one of the people leading it sort of at the end of 2019 into 2020, and they adapted very well. And I think Pit Fighter was their game changer. And so obviously, I have a feeling there's going to be a lot more of that. But I also think that when people who are quote unquote regular wrestlers, and I hate to say it this way because I know exactly how it sounds, because it all is wrestling, and I hate to distinguish it. But having said that, I think when people go into deathmatch wrestling from regular wrestling, it changes their level of respect. And I think when you go into that level of violence, and I know it sounds fucked up what I'm saying, it changes the way people view people and say, oh, this person can go now. This person can bring a fight. I think that's what happened with Lindsay Snow in many ways, where the second she's killing it in No Peace Underground, now there's a whole different level of respect given to her, and I think that's sort of what was earned for you in many ways. You're like, oh shit, this girl can go, and she could take a chair, she could take a gusset plate, she could take a bunch of things, she could take a busted up lip, and she's fighting like crazy. I mean, Becky Lynch is a great example of that too. What is it? Nia Jax busts up Becky Lynch, breaks her nose, and you see it all bloodied up, and then Becky comes back 3 weeks later or 4 weeks later and takes out everybody. It's this whole idea that respect, I think, comes out of it. People say, oh, and there could be a million reasons why, but I do think it's there. So how do you feel about all of that?
I definitely think 2020 was definitely the year of death matches. It was the year Akira, while the pandemic and like everything went to hell, basically everything went crazy. It was a year for Akira, definitely. He definitely grew, and I was happy to see how much he's grown in the business. And
I think you're selling yourself short a little bit there, though.
I'm sorry.
I think you're selling yourself short a little bit there too, because I think 2020 had a lot of moments for you as well.
Yeah, I think 2021 will be more filling for me, but
So you're contractually obligated to say this, correct?
I'm sorry.
You're contractually obligated to say all this, right?
Maybe, maybe. Um, no, but I mean, 2020 was. I mean, I never would have imagined I have ever done a death match, and there I was, doing a death match. So, uh, it was great. ICW's killing it. GCW's killing it. They're all killing it.
And I think you're killing it too. And I think this match is a gate opener for you in many ways. And I think that if you want to be a female deathmatch wrestler, I think you could easily do it at this point. And I think you would be phenomenal at
Oh, I appreciate that.
it. But I do want to end on a fun match because this is the most fun match. And I don't really know who was who in this match, but we had a match between Freddy Krueger versus Lady Deadpool versus Savannah Stone. And obviously, this was a lot of fun. And I think it was at Kaiju Attack Wrestling. And let's just say that you were involved somehow. I'm going to leave it quite ambiguous because I don't want to ruin too much. But obviously, you're a little bit of an anime comic book type person. So what was that entire match like for you? It's always fun when you get to do Halloween stuff and cosplay stuff in a ring and have a fun match, because when else are you going to see Freddy Krueger and Lady Deadpool go at it?
Yeah, literally, Kaiju Attack Wrestling is one of the most unique wrestling promotions I've ever been a part of. Before Corona happened, they were having so much ideas of having every single show a costume related show. So I think the next time, which they were going to have one, I think right when Corona started, they had to cancel, obviously, because all the shows got canceled. But right when Corona started, they were going to have a show, and I think I was going to try to be Raven from Teen Titans. Because last time I was Freddy Krueger, I was going to try to be Raven from Teen Titans the next
I'm
time.
a big Teen Titans fan. Big Teen Titans fan. I have a DC Presents number 26 and a very high grade. I spent a lot of money on it, I'm just saying. But continue.
I think actually it was going to be Harley Quinn, but I think the next after that I was going to try to beat Raven because I liked the whole idea they were having. It was a very fun match. Yeah, you never expect Freddy Krueger and Lady Deadpool to just go at it like that, but it was one of the funnest experiences I think I've ever had with Kaiju Attack Wrestling, with wrestling period. It was just so fun. It was crazy. I hope they come back. I was talking to the promoter the other day. I was like, you guys need to bring this back because it's so fun. It's so unique. Everybody has a good time. Fans, wrestlers, refs, everybody just has a fun time with it. So it's amazing.
And isn't that what wrestling is about in many ways? Is it's supposed to be fun. The most fun shows that I've ever been at have been shows that have been like free. So I went to a free wrestling show at University of Maryland, which was Flying V, which was one of the most fun shows I ever went to. And then the last show I went to was Butch vs. Gore, and that was an amazing show. And while it wasn't free, just the environment was fun. So this seems perfectly fun. Like I went to a cosplay wrestling show at an anime con. Super fun. It was amazing. It was like the bad heels were all Team Rocket, and then you had a bunch of other people from like pretty much Shonen Jump versus them. It was the most brilliant thing I've ever seen in my life. And it was amazing. And that's what it is to me. That's what wrestling is. And this seems perfect and fun and brilliant. And so isn't that what wrestling's supposed to be in many ways?
Yeah, I always say if you're not having fun, you need to not be in it. Because if you're not having fun, then why are you in it? Like I get it, money, money, whatever. But the point of being in it is to have fun. You have fun, you get to do this the rest of your life. It's just wrestling's amazing, and I love it so much. It's so fun to be in. You get to not be yourself. You get to be a different person all the time. Every time you step foot in the ring, So it's great.
And that's the match I want to end on, but I know a bunch of stuff is coming up. So I know you got a future match. Tomorrow you got something coming either doing or coming out. Sunday, I think you have something possibly in Texas. And then I know that you have some stuff, I think, at the end of February as well, if I'm not mistaken, with Lana Lennox and Maxine Taylor, unless that's on Sunday. I'm not exactly sure. Um, unless I can't mention any of this, which I'll just retract myself in that position. And I know that you're getting booked for Mania weekend, which is I'm not even sure what it's called anymore. Is it the Collective? Is it Mania weekend or Mania week?
I don't even know. I
I'm
don't know.
so confused.
I've been seeing people call it Mania Week, so I'm gonna go with that.
And so I know that stuff is coming up with you for that, and that's down in Florida, and hopefully that'll go off the way it's supposed to. And then I know that you're coming back to Jersey, I think, in June for a Boardwalk Butts in Atlantic City and some other stuff, and that's going to be a cool show or a cool 4 days in Atlantic City. And I haven't decided if I'm going to that yet because I'm in Connecticut, which isn't that far. And so obviously that's still in the air if I'm going to show up and watch wrestling for 4 days. So it's going to be a blast, you know. And so and that's just some of the stuff. So what is it like with all that stuff and what you can say, can't say about it, promote it? Because obviously I know June's going to be exciting. And that's the thing that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Boardwalk Buds. I mean, I don't really have much to say about it, honestly. I mean, I do, but I'm just so tired. So, I mean, I was very geeking out more for it because it was just.
You were the first one announced for it.
Yeah,
if I'm not
I
mistaken.
was the first one announced for the women's tournament, cup tournament. So excited for it. Again, I love Jersey, so going back is going to be an amazing experience. Last time I was there, I was concussed, so I wasn't able to meet any of the fans. So they're very hyped and excited to meet me. I'm very hyped and excited to meet them. Non-concussed, so let's do this. You know, knock on wood. That if I get concussed again in Jersey, I may not go back. It may just be.
So you're not jinxing it. You're not jinxing it.
Right. But no, I'm excited for it. I'm really excited. Yeah, I can't wait to see who I wrestle. Really. It's gonna be a great experience. It's a 3-day. I think it's a 3-day kind of thing. I think the women's tournament is on the last one, the last show to be. I know ICW is running it. I don't know what's happening the other show, but it's going to be a good experience. So
It's going to be a very cool experience because a bunch of you are going to be staying in hotels around there. It's going to be an awesome experience on the boardwalk. It's going to be nice weather, and it's just going to be an awesome experience all around. And there's a bunch of other stuff going on too. It's really going to be a festival is what it really is going to be like, and it's going to be awesome. So I'm very excited, and that might be my vacation, and then I might be doing something in August. It'll be fun too, but I digress right there. So, and then there's some other stuff going on as well that people should be on the lookout for. You know, obviously I mentioned the other stuff as well, and we spoke a little bit about that. And so having said all that, I do want to talk about COVID because I am a fan of wrestling. I interview a lot of wrestlers. I interview a lot of people in the comic world. I interview a lot of cosplayers and voice actors from anime and TV shows and some other things that are out there in the voice acting world. And so I am curious because it's crystal clear to me that 2020 was a train wreck. And 2021, in my view, while the vaccination is rolling out, it is going to take time. My parents are older, and they may or may not be my roommates at the time. But what's happening now is that my parents are now starting to get eligible to get their vaccination like in a month from now. And so it is going to take time. So I'm curious where you think all this is going and when things are going to return back to normal, at least for wrestling.
I mean, I think we're all going to be all right. If the vaccinate, I mean, I'm going to take the vaccination. I would like to take the vaccination just so I can make sure that, you know, everything will be fine. I think we're all going to be all right. Wrestling's going to come back completely. It's already, you know, I'm picking up more bookings this year than I did last year because of Corona started. So, I mean, we're all going to be good.
So do you think that it's going to come back like 500 fan shows, or do you think that it's going to come back 100, 200 and have a slow approach? Or do you think that there's going to be a little bit more social distancing and
I think that like people just need to take baby steps to get to that point. I'm not sure really what to do. I'm not sure about the corona thing. I'm not sure about what's going to happen. I'm on the ride of this crazy roller coaster ride that we're all on right now. So it's just taking baby steps.
And then obviously, I mean, my view is that I think it's going to be a very slow approach back, where I think it will come back eventually. I just think that throughout 2021, people have to do it the right way. Because if they do it the wrong way and they take 500 people, even with masks and even with vaccinations, all it's going to take is one person to get it and die from it. And then they were at a wrestling show, and then it's back to square one. And even with all the vaccination stuff, it is good. I think it's just going to take a little bit of time. I think masks are going to be here for another 3 years at a minimum. I think that there's going to be mask shows, which I think is, if you get to watch wrestling and you have to wear a mask, it's a small trade-off in many ways. If 300 people get to watch it, and then you get to enjoy your content again in a somewhat normalized society. And then eventually I think that will go away too. But I think it's going to be a very slow process in that way, even after everybody's vaccinated. Because I don't think it's just the US. I think it is a global problem because we don't live in just a country in the world. But that's a much larger problem than we need to tackle today. And so having said all that, I do want to give you an opportunity to promote yourself, because I know you have a bunch of stuff out there. I know you got social media. I know you have a Twitter. I know you have a Facebook page. I'm not sure. Do you have an Instagram? I don't know if you're on TikTok, Snapchat, anything else. I mean, I'm so out of the social media game. I have a Twitter and a Facebook page and an Instagram. I don't know if you got a TikTok too, because that's like the new thing. Clubhouse, apparently.
I don't have a Snapchat. I have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Everything's under Charlie Kruel. I have a TikTok now. That's under Charlie Kruel. My YouTube channel page is Charlie Kruel Wrestling. So everything's just basically just under Charlie Kruel if you just look that up.
And then obviously merch too, because merch is the best way how to support wrestlers. Beyond buying tickets, seeing them wrestle, merch super important. So I'm going to take a leap of faith and assume you have merch as well. So
I sell stuff at my merch tables, but other than that, I do have a pro wrestling tees store. Just look up Charlie Kruel in the search bar, and it will pop up all my shirts that I have. I have my favorite one, which is the newest member of it all. It's purple-haired maniac one. I have my other shirts there. So if you want to go to Pro Wrestling Tees and get you a Charlie Kruel shirt, post it, tag me in it. I'll always, like, retweet it, comment on it even, I appreciate the support.
Yeah, and I'm going to second that on, you got to support, and I've been saying it with everybody, you have to support indie. You have to support indie wrestling. It is super important right now. And the best way how to support indie wrestling is supporting financially. And that means buying people's shirts, buying their 8x10s, buying anything that they're selling on their Pro Wrestling Tees, or DMing them if their DMs are open and they're selling directly, or a big cartel. Super important at this point, because it does make a difference. It is massively important to do that. It not only shows that you're putting your money where your mouth is, but you're also, especially in COVID when people are taking less bookings, that is a massive subsidization. And it is super important. I can't stress that enough to do that. And I will say this, though. COVID's been tough on a lot of people. I have a feeling it's going to get a little bit tougher, and people are starting to recover, while others are sort of still digging themselves out of the hole even further. So if you're in a situation where money is tight, or you're concerned about money in the next 60 days, please make sure your mortgage, your rent's covered, your electricity is covered, you have water, food, you have warmth, your family's fed, you have gas in your car to get to work if you still have to go and drive to your job, your dog's fed, and so on and so forth. You have internet, your kids are all right, if I didn't already say that. Please make sure that is taken care of first before you start taking care of anybody else outside of your life. But if you're in that situation, please support on social media, because that is ultra important. and it's just as important as supporting economically. That means following on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook pages, sharing that content. Can't stress that enough. Super important to do that. So please, if you are in a tough spot on an economic level, definitely do on social media. If you have the extra money and you like the shirt, please go buy a shirt. It makes a massive difference. And follow on social media and share that shirt, because tell your friends to buy shirts too, because it does make a difference. And also, like, take a picture in a mirror of you wearing that shirt and tag Charlie in it, because it will be effective and helpful. So on that note, I think I said it perfectly, and I'm going to give you the final word on anything else you would like to add.
I just appreciate you having me, being able to talk about all this and stuff, and definitely having different questions for me. Sometimes if I do an interview, they'll ask like the same questions that a previous interview has done. Not that that's an issue. I'll always answer and I'll always, come up with a different stuff to say, but I appreciate the different answer or different questions. I'm sorry, to be able to talk about this all. I'm just super tired. So like, my face is like, I didn't even want to do anything with my face. I just want to put my my Jurassic Park hat on and go with the flow on it. But I was excited for this interview. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, believe me, I've been wanting to do this for like 6 months. So thank you for being on, because
No worries.
it's been a journey, and I've been stoked to do it for 6 months. So finally, we did it.
All right. I'm excited about that.